Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unpopular Review.
Thank you all for clicking on our faces.
New flag with all that.
Okay, so I wrote down some notes.
Shots do that. I don't want to sit too hard garbage. That's twice. That'll probably go over about as well as Colonel Booty.
Because there was no Jay White site.
Okay, just straight up gangbanging. This story has been fit. You gotta pay attention.
So Unpopular Review does not. What is she the CEO of, Chris? Jesus, golly. Let's start the show.
And welcome one and all to another fun episode of Unpopular Review, reviewing NXT before Battleground. I am Sabrina Estella, the wrestling doll, the unofficial camerawoman, though, one of many names here, like Mike Knox was once upon a time ago. And for tonight's special co-host, it is Ladies' Night once again with the new lady, Miss Sheriff right here. Tell everybody how you doing tonight.
I'm just here for Sexyy Red. How's everybody doing?
I think you're one of the few people here for Sexyy Red. I am not. Listen, her name might be Sexyy Red, but to me, she is not. That is my personal opinion. If y'all like her, you can like her. If you don't have to. Everybody's got their own cup of tea with who they like or not. But as someone who doesn't normally watch the product, how did you feel about the product tonight?
That is true. I don't watch NXT. Well, I don't watch WWE. How did I feel about the product? A few things. There were good things and there were bad things. I give it a little bit more leeway because it is a developmental show. But what the hell was this? It was fun to see. I actually thought Sexyy Red was very entertaining on the show. I'm not gonna lie. I did roll my eyes a bit, and Booker T was being insanely annoying. I hate his voice on commentary, and he was just doing too much when he was hyping Sexyy Red. I'm like, bro, you don't even know who this girl is. Please just stop. But she's at least, it's like, oh, she's a little confused, but she got the spirit. That was Sexyy Red during this entire show. Like, she had the spirit. She was low key acting. She was dancing. She was having a good time. I was like, okay, so that made it fun. We got some surprises in Jordan Grace and Ethan Page. That also made it fun. As an AEW viewer, seeing Ethan Page, I was like, I know that guy. Because and the show was a bit difficult for me because I spent half of it being like, I don't know that guy / gal. But there were some people that I was introduced to that I'm like, okay, they're pretty cool. But as we go into the show, I'll probably point it out.
Yes, of course. Well, I mean, I can understand the whole watching a show or going to a show and not knowing who some people are. I mean, when I first started going, I would go not knowing who anybody was, not doing any research whatsoever, because I like going in with like if they were a blank canvas and I paint out my idea whether I like them or not. So that way nothing is spoiled. I've made a few exceptions to that rule with a couple people that I do know. So it's not a bad thing, but that's just how I am personally. But tonight was a fun show. We started out with the youngest GM in WWE history in The Rock's daughter, Ava Raine, opening up the show, talking about the NXT Women's North American Championship ladder match for Battleground coming up, which we then get presented with the one who calls herself Sexyy Red, who, like you said, was having a fun time, very happy. I mean, I'd be having a fun time if I were there in the Performance Center, introducing myself and talking about the product, being a fan of the product, so on and so forth. She is the one who bestowed us the honor of seeing what the Women's North American Championship would look like. And I will pull up the picture once again.
Dun, dun, dun,
this
dun.
lovely piece of art right here, which when I saw kind of reminded me of how the men's belt looked, as opposed to it being brown leather with the logo being black, it's white with the logo being red, which kind of felt like, you sure they aren't making it for Raw, since Raw is usually red?
It's because Sexyy Red is presenting it. Dun, 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 dun.
Well, I mean, they probably made it before she came on. It was just a happy
That's the
medium.
story I'm sticking to.
Listen, we all write our own stories and we stick to it in our head, just as the people in this Unpopular Review family. But besides her being the one to show us the new title, she informed us that she will also be hosting Battleground this year. And we get that. And Tatum Paxley slithers her way into the ring like a crazy-ass fast snake in the grass. Meanwhile, her opponent for the night in the head baddie in charge, Mia Yim, going up there to give her a can of whoop ass. Or in her case, her finisher, which is called Soul Food. And the match was good. It was nice to see Mia Yim getting some licks in, showing that she still got it. For people that don't remember, she is an NXT original. Got called up to the main roster. Had her moments here and there. Didn't work out. They let her go. But Triple H brought her back. They had her and the OC had a little thing with Judgment Day. Didn't fully work out. But now she's getting a chance to remind the people why she's good, how she's in the ring, why she's good. And also to help the newer people in the match look good. Because if you just have all new people in there who don't know how to exactly work and have only been training for a few years, it's not gonna look good.
Lexis King versus Dante, but we'll talk about that later.
Basically, yeah. Listen, I am not a Lexis King fan either, and Dante Chen, I have nothing against them. I just don't watch Level Up too much, which is where he was normally presented.
Yeah,
now he's actually getting a push for the first time in Lord knows how long since he started over there.
I actually was a fan of Brian Pillman Jr. in the past. Thought he had good potential. I've got a Varsity Blondes t-shirt. That's how in the trenches I was. But I was wrong. The man has not got a lick better. But we'll talk about that later.
Listen, I can understand too. I preferred him too as well back when he was Brian Pillman Jr. on AEW. I first saw him on AEW Dark as part of the Varsity Blondes with Griff Garrison and Julia Hart when she was still a happy-go-lucky cheerleader type character. But I get it. Hi, Charmaine.
I did not know the Rock Starter was the GM of NXT. That was interesting to see. Is there a reason that she's not wrestling?
Well, she did before she was made the manager. She was a wrestler in a faction. She didn't get too many chances on TV, despite all the training that she had, because she wasn't the greatest. She did stuff in house shows, but it wasn't the best. So they figured she was a better talker. So they had her working like in the back more with HBK, like helping people get matches and stuff. So they figured, hey, let's just make her GM since she's already doing all this stuff.
And she's
so to speak.
So let's go ahead.
Like we can't get rid of her because of who she is and her name. Another case of nepotism, but that's what happens in this business.
Cool.
But what can you do?
Yeah. So the actual match though, not bad. This is the first time I saw both of those two ladies. I don't know. I think it was Tatum Paxley when Sexyy Red presented the belt. She like came and tried to take it. I don't know what her plan was. I was
on the
lady, what are you doing?
Stuff side.
Okay, got you. Because I was like, you're the belt. Like, just, you can take the belt, but like you're not. But that's fine.
Just think of Gollum from Lord of the Rings. My precious.
She's just hiding under the ring, waiting for that moment.
Basically.
But yeah, good showing from both. I said it before. I just hate Booker on commentary. What was it? The baddies looking to ball out Battleground, which I guess is like her tagline. I was like, Booker, just
her tagline when she was her tagline, as it says on my shirt, even though it's not fully shown, is head baddie in charge. Which around the time they gave her that tagline, they couldn't really say head bitch in charge. So.
Yeah, there was some. It was fun. We'll get to it, but it was funny when they dropped like the shit word and then they bleeped her and put NXT over her mouth. I forget who said that, but we'll see.
Well, we'll see how all that fun stuff goes. So after all that, backstage we get Gallus, one of the most boring tag teams in NXT. They have no charisma, no character whatsoever. They're just stuck in catering. More than half the time because there's nothing better for them to do. And because of their experience in working with The Rock, they ain't leaving. But they're chatting backstage when the Metaphor come up to yell at them for attacking Noam Dar. But it somehow ended with Lash and Jakara arguing back and forth whether Trick Williams did it, since they said that they didn't do it. And then after all that, we get a lovely match coming up in Riley Osborne versus Ridge Holland, another one who is like looking at paint dry, so boring, has no character whatsoever. Hell, not even a brick wall. A fake wall made of foam with a brick wallpaper painted over it. And when it gets pushed through, it comes apart that easily. That's how boring he is.
That reminded me of like The Sims, where if you want brick, you just like paint over a drywall and put it as brick. The metaphoric, is that their name?
The metaphor, yes.
Williams, Lashes, and
no, the metaphor is made up of NXT UK star who was also in the Cruiserweight Classic in 2019, Noam Dar, a wrestler named Ora Menta who debuted in NXT a few years back, as well as Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend, who started out having her own talk show segment turned into wrestler. Kind of like a,
because they were all over the show. I thought that they were at least they had personality. Which
yeah, that's their thing. They're all extra and kind of like all over the place kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they're entertaining to watch, even though they annoy the hell out of me when they try to help Noam Dar every time to keep the Heritage Cup when he was still NXT UK, the NXT Heritage Cup champion.
And then there was another faction, Something University. I think that Riley.
Yeah, this is the match that came up after.
Yeah,
with
the one you just mentioned with the brick wall guy. I mean, for all its faults, the match itself was pretty okay. I think it was Ridge won. I mean,
yes, Ridge won with his finisher, which I find a very funny name for him. It's called the Redeemer. He wants to redeem himself after faking retiring at like a few weeks before an NXT pay-per-view that happened. Couldn't even stay retired because less than 48 hours later, he hurt somebody real badly. He hurt somebody at a pay-per-view, and then he comes in to chase you, trying to act like he's trying to be all buddy-buddy with them. Like, with some of these people, I always say I can't trust anybody as far as I can throw them. And seeing as how I'm tiny and I can't throw anybody, that means I don't trust anybody worth a piece of put in my cord in the sword jar like a piece of shit.
Oh gosh, how old is this guy to be retiring?
Not old enough. He only said that because his storyline was he was wrestling people and he kept hurting them. He unintentionally essentially ended somebody's career by accident on a show when he was still on the main roster.
No wonder they don't trust this guy.
I mean, I wouldn't trust him either. And not even just because of that. He's just boring in the ring. But match was fine. It did what it needed to do. Before that, we had a quick little thing with Lola Vice shadow boxing. Ariana Grace comes up to ask her if she really wants to solve her issue with Shannon with violence. And Lola says, I'm going to show you how violent I can be firsthand, which for those who love Ariana Grace was not happy to hear that Lola was going to beat her. But here's the thing with the NXT Universe. They love Lola more than Ariana a millionfold. So
Ariana is the one with the
beauty.
sack.
Yeah, she's like a beauty queen pageant type character.
Okay, I thought she did really well. She was the one that got bleeped with the NXT logo. Now I remember, because she was like, "Yeah, I'll show you in the ring," and then she went, "Oh shit," which.
She has to act all ladylike because ladies don't swear.
Oh, I was going to say that it came off a little forced, but maybe that was intentional.
That part is intentional. I mean, she could have taken like Marie from the Aristocats. Ladies do not start fights. But
oh, yeah. Watch for the shoe. That's how a lady does.
Basically. So after the match ends, Ridge Holland tries to help him up and offers a handshake. Riley's not having it. He leaves. The Good Brothers in Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are being interviewed backstage. They're complaining about being overlooked by the tag team champions in Nathan Frazer and Axiom, and tell them that they can keep running or put the titles on the line like men. And then after that happens,
why is
Oro
Gallows
Mentis
on NXT? Why is
Oro
Gallows
Mentis
on NXT?
because they're not being used up in SmackDown where they were drafted during the draft pick months ago. It's like if you're not being used in the main roster, they're going to bring people down to NXT to make the people that they're fighting look good. Mm-hmm. Essentially, if they're like new talents and stuff. But these two that they would be going against are experienced NXT UK wrestlers. So I don't see what the point in that is, other than to give them somebody that looks formidable to try to take the belts away from them. And B, they apparently don't have enough tag teams down there, even though they got 1,000,001. And they're more. And I'll just say this: they have more lick of personality than Gallows ever could wish they had.
Burn.
But
I was gonna call them Bullet Club, but they're not that anymore, right?
No, not anymore. I mean, the name Bullet Club doesn't even exist anymore. We did have that in Bullet Club Gold and AEW, and then magically all of a sudden, like, bam, they're called the Bang Bang Gang. Which when I saw that name, I was like, that is the stupidest name I've ever seen. I can't take Austin and Colton Gunn seriously enough as it is. Now they got the stupidest name ever.
Bullet Club Gold was actually a better name, but
it is. And every time I see the words bang bang together, it reminds me of some wrestler that I do know that uses that as part
That's
of
why I did this.
Well, that's not what he does, but that's the second.
Oh, you want to talk about Mick Foley?
No, I wasn't talking about Mick Foley. I was talking about an indie wrestler that I've met. But speaking of wrestlers that have personality, a tag team that has personality, we got Idris Enofe and Malik Blade versus the Good Brothers. And this was basically a squash match to show the tag champions who they are supposedly running away from and that they need to fight them like men or they gonna hunt them down and eventually whoop their ass for a chance to have a title match. Which I feel so bad for Idris because he's trying to figure out why the hell they have bad luck all of a sudden. And then he gets pinned with Magic Killer from the Good Brothers. I was just like, they're trying to kill the magic from these two going on. I don't want that magic to die between Idris and Malik because they are a fun tag team.
Yeah, and they're losing to a tag team that probably has their better days behind them. Not for nothing, the match was fine. Obviously, the Good Brothers can wrestle, but I just agree they're just not. They're just boring. I do like the story of we're a classic tag team and this new tag team is basically trying to like disrespect us. So that's a nice story. Only problem is the only reason that Gallows and Anderson are a legendary tag team is because of shit they did outside of WWE. They have not really done anything in this company, so it's a little bit. I mean,
they had a few matches on TV when they were still used up on the main roster and in a pay-per-view
with AJ, right?
Other than that, yes, with AJ before he turned his back on them. But other than that, they hadn't really done too much either. I will agree on that. And then after that, we get the tag champions in Axiom with the mask and Nathan Frazer with the flowing red hair running in to answer their challenge. Nathan Frazer calls them fraudulent clowns and says that they accept the challenge for Battleground. And then after that, we get a quick little Dante Chen vignette. He's celebrating in the locker room. Lexus King, or should I say Lexus Joker, because that's what he is. He's a joke now. He's coming in to be a party pooper. He's saying that it's never going to happen again. It was basically a fluke. It was a one-time victory. You're never going to get me again. And he challenges him, and Dante Chen says yes, because I'm going to prove that I can beat you more than once, and it wasn't no damn.
They said that Dante's the first Singaporean WWE superstar. That's kind of surprising to hear, but I guess that's good.
Hooray for diversity in the company.
Yeah, I would assume that they had one before, but if they did, it was probably a jobber because you know how they do.
I mean, once upon a time ago, Dante Chen was the jobber of Level Up. They kept putting it in these matches, and he kept getting beaten. Now he's getting a decent push. I mean, maybe Shawn Michaels sees something in him. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think I mean he looks like he could have charisma, but I mean it's again I give it leeway because this is a developmental show, but he looked like a developmental guy. That's the best way that I can see it.
Well, I mean the development
Brian Pillman Jr. looked like freaking Tiger King. I don't know what he was wearing.
I mean, he likes to act like he's all that in a bag of chips, and apparently that's his style inspiration in the Tiger King. But like I was saying, actually no, I can't even remember what I was going to say anymore. But that's fine. It'll probably come to me later. But after all, a commercial, we get Trick Williams and Javon Evans backstage. Trick gives them a pep talk ahead of their match with Gallus. Sexyy Red comes in to talk about how much she loves all the sweaty bodies and wishes them luck. And Javon invites her to follow them tonight, like be like their eye candy, the valet, basically, to follow outside. And she says, "Follow my lead, boys."
That was funny. This is another example of like, you know what? It's funny because normally I would be like, okay, like this is a little cringe, but that seemed like something Sexyy Red would say. And I know that this was probably scripted, but it came off very I don't know if she was acting or if they just let her go off the cut. You know what? As much as I didn't want to hate this as much as I thought I was going to hate this. I think Sexyy Red actually did a good job as a bit of a hype woman here. She was entertaining. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I mean, she's basically living out some of our dreams, being able to go back like into the locker rooms and being able to meet some of the guys and talking to them and such and so forth. I mean,
and split twerk.
I'm also going to say, I don't think that what she said to them in regards to seeing the sweaty bodies and being happy about it is scripted, because I'll be honest, when I go to these shows and I see some of the people that I know, I think, hey, this person's attractive. I ain't going to say no names because if any of them find this thing, they'll use that against me and I'll never live it down. So if anybody finds this footage and sends it to them,
we all have our list
try to
like wrestlers that are like, that's our
yes.
person. Like
they can try to figure out who I'm talking about, because Lord knows I ain't gonna tell none of them, because their egos would go through the fucking roof all the way to freaking Jupiter.
You can't gas them, yeah.
No, you can't gas some of these guys because their egos get too damn big. I'll only gas them by complimenting their wrestling skills in the ring, and if I do say they're attractive, I say objectively, as in
on paper.
Exactly. I wouldn't tell them to their face if I think so, because I'll never hear the end of it. But anyways, after that, we get Roxanne Perez making her entrance, getting on the mic. She says that she's the only woman who's ever appreciated the NXT Women's Championship properly from day one, and she's only ever cared about NXT from day one. And to everyone else, this title represents future greatness instead of present greatness, but she's great right now, which is why she finds it disrespectful that she has to find out who her opponent is at Battleground the way that she's going to find out, which is the same way as the NXT Universe on TV, as opposed to being told backstage. Boom. Ava Raine comes in. She says she thinks Roxanne is a great champion, but in fact, she may not be champion after her next title defense, because she's going to be fighting the reigning defending TNA Knockouts champion in Jordan Grace, which I nearly fell to the floor in shock, because I did become a fan of Jordan Grace at watching TNA. She was one of those, there's a small list of people who I've heard of as far as wrestlers by name. Whenever anything wrestling related got talked about or brought up on like articles and stuff, her name was one of the ones that I would see a lot. Mm-hmm. And being able to go to a TNA taping when they were here in my lovely town where I'm living right now in Kissimmee at Trinity's, now Naomi's, last show there, I got to see her in action. So that made me a bigger fan. And my reaction, how I got, was exactly the same way that Vic Joseph got when he saw that Jordan Grace was coming out, because he was like, holy shit, basically.
Yeah, they had to mute the crowd a bit because they were all chanting holy shit, which that kills the WWE fans don't know anyone outside of the company narrative, obviously. And I know Jordan Grace was in the Royal Rumble, but Jordan Grace is a great talent.
I've been trusted with a TNA Knockouts Championship 3 times.
Exactly, but here's the thing, because she's the TNA Knockouts champion. She's essentially the world champion for the women in that division. And the NXT Women's title is the developmental brand title. Unless she plans to stick around, I don't think she's gonna beat Roxanne Perez. But it's gonna be a great match. It would be interesting if they did title for title, kind of like how AEW did with Kenny Omega, where he just got all the belts from like both companies and he was just walking around with it. That would be cool, and that would be cool to see Roxanne Perez do something like that. I don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, you could say, I mean, why is she getting a title shot? You could always say that. People always say that when stuff like this happens, but that's wrestling.
We're going to hear this from a good number of the people in the wrestling world universe, because wrestling fans are fickle. They're going to be, oh, why is Jordynne Grace getting a championship shot? She's not even in the company. She only came in one time, and that's it. She doesn't need a title shot. So what? Give Roxanne a challenge. Roxanne's gone up against these people a bunch of times. She's not in no steady feuds with nobody right now. She literally doesn't want to feud with nobody because she wants to have the belt and not have anybody defend it from. She just wants to have the belt as an accessory, even though she says that she respects it and such. Give her a challenge. Jordynne Grace is a challenge.
And did you hear that crowd reaction? Come on.
That is how you present who is going to come in and have a pop. This is what AEW should have done Sunday when MJF came back, because the pop was not the proper pop for that man. It was like half that.
To be honest,
like half the volume. It was like there's one right here. Tonight was right there.
It didn't come across that loud when I was watching it. Though people in the building would say that it was. I don't know if that was a miking issue. Well, no, let me be clear. That it was a good pop. It was just I can see what you're trying to say. It didn't come across the same, like watching the show.
And I felt like it would have come across even better if he came out a little bit later. But I get why they had him come out when he did, because Adam Cole came out first. But anyways, after all that, Jordynne Grace reminds us that she was in the Royal Rumble and introduces herself, title in hand or shoulder, so to speak. She puts Roxanne over for building her name in NXT, as Jordan has in TNA, which people also forget. Roxanne built her name as well in Ring of Honor as Roxy, which people were still chanting when she first came in. Like how people said, like, oh, people in WWE don't know other people outside of WWE. But she says that she is challenging for that title at Battleground, and she is fully prepared to leave Vegas as a double champion.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. I mean, so that does remind me. Battleground is going to be in Vegas. I wonder, do they do like a gambling kind of, I guess, branding type thing? I know they're PG, but...
Well, they're a little bit less PG now than they were a few years back. But I wouldn't put it past them if they were, but I don't think that they will. I think they'll just stick to being like,
it's NXT
brand.
Battleground, like, yeah, gotcha.
Basically. So anyways, we get another quick little vignette. It's someone we hadn't seen in a hot minute, in Eddie Thorpe. He's talking about the power of fire and how he's going to lead the way for all indigenous people, of which that is his culture, with the dream, and that he has been reborn. Lola Vice and Ariana are shown walking backstage. Cuts the commercial. After that's done, Chase U, they're all bickering against one another. Riley and Duke Hudson don't trust Ridge Holland. Thea Hale storms off from the argument. Meanwhile, Ridge comes in and Andre Chase gives him some words of encouragement. Listen, before Ridge Holland went up to the main roster, he was down in NXT with former NXT UK champion Pete Dunne, who I wouldn't say has a shit ton of character or like as far as charisma on the mic. But when he was standing with Pete Dunne by himself down there, both of them being heels, he looked better then than he does now. So I feel like Andre Chase should keep a very close eye on him, because if he got betrayed and turned on by JC Jane when she was trying to act like she was trying to help chase you, he needs to keep a close eye on that one too, because that's as far as I can throw him.
As a non-watcher, when I hear Pete Dunne, I think Big E.
Yeah, that's the one that Ridge Holland inadvertently destroyed career-wise. And speaking of careers that may or may not be destroyed in Battleground in the future, we got Lola Vice versus Ariana Grace with a quick little match. Ariana's trying to make it seem like she's trying to end it early with the pin, trying to talk Lola down, blocking the kicks, the jackknives. She's ducking, trying to cover. It almost feels like when you're watching a movie about kids in school and there's the dodgeball scene, And then they got everybody with the dodgeball. And then there's that one kid that everybody picks on. And that just goes like this and hides to ensure that they don't get hit in the face with a dodgeball. And then they wind up getting hit in the face with a dodgeball when they let their guard down after all the throwing of the dodgeballs are all done.
They think the coast is clear, and then they're like, bop.
Nope. Exactly. So she gets hit. Arena gets hit with the running hip attack. And with the back fist, Levice seals that woman's fate, Banto style. She dances after the match is over, gets on the mic, calls out Shayna Baszler, and tells her that she'll either tap or get knocked out and that she can choose. But Shayna Baszler comes out, charging out. Security is getting right in between them, trying to make sure that they don't get their hands on each other till Battleground. Since where they're going has a UFC style like area, they're going to have a underground type match kind of thing, since they're both former UFC MMA style fighters.
Are they going to do you know, like Josh Barnett, blood sports, kind of like that?
I think so. They haven't been really doing too much with blood, even before in the early time of the 2000s and the 2020s. Not 2000s, 2010s. But if that does happen, if somebody does bleed, they bleed. But it's not like a AEW. It's not like a Crimson Mask. It's not like a John Moxley mask.
Oh yeah, John Moxley. That's his. That's his. Mask.
It's like if you were to play a drinking game and watching a match, like take a shot every time if John Moxley's the first one to bleed and get a Crimson Mask. Boop,
alcohol poisoning. You're absolutely there's no way. From the little that I see of her, I think Lola's good. Obviously, Ariana. I think she's in a bit of her not jobber era. She seemed more like someone that like you beat up on, though. I think she does good character work. Just from what I've seen.
Well, I mean, she does get that from her father, Santina Morella.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's her dad?
Yeah, that's his daughter.
Oh, that's why she...
And that's also what makes the pageant make sense, because of Santina Morella.
Her name should have been Santina. That would have been funny.
Yeah, here's the thing. Around that time when she did come in, Vince McMahon was still in charge, and so they were doing the whole... not naming the people that are second, third generation wrestlers, giving them different names so they can build their own name all together. Like with Braun Breaker, Alexis King, Ariana Grace, Malik Blade, who's also a second generation or third generation wrestler as well.
Even though Rex Steiner was a better name, but it is what it is.
Hey, I mean, I was there along with EC and a bunch of us from Unpopular Review when he made his debut in NXT. So I can say that when his name popped up, I was like, who the hell is this guy? I don't know who he was.
He's called up now, right?
Yes, he's called up now. He's now on Raw, literally destroying everybody, and they're making it seem like Adam Pearce is regretting his decision to have him be on Raw. Yeah. Because he's literally going out,
up everybody on the roster,
beating up everybody. Was set to be suspended after last week comes in, even though he was suspended, and is making Adam Pearce's life a living hell, since Chelsea Green and Piper Niven are no longer on Raw. Now they're on SmackDown. They're going to attempt to make Nick Aldis' life a living hell.
Shout out to Nick Aldis, another gem.
Well, him as well as his wife.
See.
After that, we get Damon Kemp, another one who's about as interesting as a wall drawing after a fresh coat of paint, trying to console Charlie Dempsey, another example of a second, third generation star, William Regal's his father, on his loss from losing the Heritage Cup. But Dempsey's not having it and insists that they need structure. Miles Bourne tries to step up to take Tony D'Angelo next week to get the cup back. But Charlie insists that Damon will get it, which is a stupid idea because for people that watch the NXT brand, Damon Kemp is the punching bag of the No Quarter Catch crew, stupidest name ever. But they only call them that because they can't call them the Blackpool Combat Club because that name was established elsewhere when William Regal was elsewhere. But all I can say is I look forward to watching Damon Kemp getting his ass beat by D'Angelo in 2 to 3 rounds. Yeah,
you weren't lying about him being, I guess, boring. He's so forgettable. I didn't make any notes about his appearance, so there we go.
Forgettable. His brother, who they brought into the company for a little while, is also forgettable enough to where he actually got let go.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, exactly. He had one match on TV against Baron Corbin, and it was such a bad match. Everybody ragged on that match.
David.
That's just me being honest about how I feel about these things. Everybody knows to keep it real. What's up, David? So after that, we get Jakara and Lash chatting in the trainer's room. Lash says that she'll ask Trick directly, and she knows he'll tell the truth. And that seems good enough for Jakara, even though she's kind of iffy about all that, because once upon a time ago, they had a little moment with Trick Williams trying to accuse him of what happened with his match with Noam Dar, that it didn't count because of the pin. And Lash and Trick are now having this weird little, like, I almost want to say like West Side Story, kind of forbidden romance type thing, because I'm not going to do Romeo and Juliet because A, that gets overused, and B, that movie and play ended up with both of them being dead.
I mean, I think one of them is dead in West Side Story too.
Well, I never watched West Side Story. I'm just saying, like, in regards to how the storyline goes. Or I could say the movie Romeo Must Die with Aaliyah, Marisol Wilson.
Classic.
I have to watch that movie one of these days. So anyways, speaking of people that are forgettable, we get Lexis King versus Dante Chen, which they go back and forth for a little bit. Dante Chen is hot out of the gate. He's just going after Lexis to prove this was not a one-time thing. This wasn't no fluke. I'm whooped your ass before, and I'm going to do it again. This time by myself since I don't got Robert Stone by my side. But he gets him with the crucifix pin twice, and after the match is over, Lexis King beats him down because he can't handle the fact that he can't fight, that he can't wrestle well to save his life now. Oof. And he's trying to get him for more of a beatdown. He peels the mat off of the floor and lays him on out with the coronation, which is what his finisher is called. That's the only good thing about his finisher is the name.
Coronation. That's Lexis King's finisher?
Yeah, that's the name of his finisher, yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, King Coronation.
Yes.
See what you did there, Alexis. This match was absolutely horrible, but it was he won via roll up just by the way that they were talking about the story. I'm gonna assume that the last win was Dante won via roll up, just to be clear. I'm assuming that the last win was via roll up as well, right?
I believe so. It was roll up, and there was a little help from Robert Stone because he did have a little issue with Lexis King a while back. He did go up to Robert Stone's face and tell him that even his former client in Chelsea Green doesn't even want him. Nobody wants to be managed by you. And the last person that he was managing is not with him right now. I don't remember if he got let go or if he's just not working or if he's injured. I don't fully remember. Gotcha. But after all that, go ahead.
No. That was basically it. I don't know if we mentioned it. What was her name? Carly something? The cheerleader?
Oh, yeah. They had a quick little vignette earlier with Carly Bright, cheerleader turned wrestler. Basically, I'm just going to say it to be honest, their version of Julia Hart.
Exactly. I got Julia Hart from that. Not that Julia Hart is the first person to ever be a cheerleader.
Do the cheerleader wrestler type character.
But in a modern era, I was thinking
who people would think of when looking at her because she acts like a literal ray of sunshine and is all happy and cheerful and stuff. That just doesn't do the whole cheerleading skirt in her wrestling gear.
Her cheeks must hurt from smiling so much. I'm assuming I know WWE did a thing where they took, I guess, collegiate athletes and they like signed them, kind of like how, like the NBA or something would sign people they draft them basically. I'm assuming she's a draft pick.
In that sense, I believe so. I can't say I remember her name before they gave her the name Carly Bright, but I think she was one of those.
Gotcha.
So after that, we get Josh Briggs getting a video package looking back at his history. Then after that, we get Sean Spears interviewed backstage. He says he is very troubled by the youth here in NXT. Talented, impressionable, and misguided. One in particular he feels has great potential, but just doesn't have it yet. He too has been down the path, and he'll guide them to their maximum potential. He will be the answer.
Sean Spears, number one, that sounded very creepy.
I mean, that was kind of the idea, the vignette that they did with them before he came back. Was a creepy kind of thing, kind of like a whole I see the truth kind of thing. I will show it to you too. You've been hiding the truth from yourself kind of thing. That's what he does.
then it worked because it. Yeah, well, you know what? In his case, then he pulled it off because that whole monologue came off creepy, and then also, who are you leading? You haven't even done anything.
That's the idea. They're not going to tell us until a little later. That's the point of that.
Yeah. But yeah, that was it.
Yep, that was it. So after that, we get the D'Angelo family backstage with the Heritage Cup. Tony D talks about how important the cup is to the new No Quarter Catch crew and tells Luca Crucifino to make sure that they know everything they can about the catch clause, which is basically they can come out and you won't know who's going to fight until they get in that ring.
Yeah.
So like you won't know who to prepare for until they're in that ring and it's too late. Which I think at that point people are going to figure out, I can just study all of them, and then whoever comes out, bam, I already know how I can fight them.
That's true too. And they're going to be spending time wrestling anyways, so you can watch them.
Yeah. He also tells Stacks that they don't need anybody to go for a ride because they're going to beat them at their own game. So I think basically they're going to put out their own little thing of that iteration of the rule. So after that, we get Kelani Jordan versus Wren Sinclair. The final match for the NXT Women's North American Championship qualifying match for the ladder match in Battleground. This match was very short. I just had to say this. When I saw how short it was, I felt like watching WWE in the 2000s with women's wrestling where they were getting at least max 2 minutes per match, which broke my heart. Considering how agile and talented Kelani Jordan is and how talented Wren Sinclair is before she got signed when she was known as Maddie Rinkowski, when she would wrestle in Dark on AEW, that's where I found her. And I found her work on NWA, who does fantastic work as a heel, but is right now playing the doe-eyed type character. I can't call her a new girl because she's been there for a while now. And we got Fallon Henley on commentary for this match, who did win her qualifier match for the championship. Didn't get a lot to say in that match, but that didn't matter because the match went through. It was fine. Kelani wins with a split-legged moonsault on Wren. After it's over, Fallon goes in there and attacks Kelani because now she's being a big bad heel, trying to be like, oh, I don't need to worry about you anymore. I'm worrying about me. So I'm just going to start with whooping your ass before we even get to Vegas for Battleground.
Yeah, I mean, that's not going to help you in a ladder match with other people, but fair enough.
After that, we get Stevie Turner, who was basically like a streamer / gamer type character turned wrestler, in Ava Rain's office with Robert Stone, looking for an opportunity, and is upset that Jordan Grace got a title shot ahead of her. Ariana Grace rolls up and says she wants to show the world why. Oh, not Ariana, Jordan Grace, last name. It confused me. She says she wants to show the world why she's TNA Knockouts champion and also why she's been champion with that belt 3 times with a match against Stevie next week. So people who don't know how she can wrestle are going to get a chance to see her next week. And Stevie is going to get destroyed by the Juggernaut. And I say that nicely.
She's going to get ran over, yeah. They'll put her over. They'll put Jordan over pretty strong before her match.
Of course. That's the point of with matches like these, especially if it's a champion versus champion. After that, we get one of my favorite wrestlers. Everybody that watches the Unpopular Review brand channel knows how much, considering how much I talk about him when he's on TV. And my Instagram profile picture, which unless I get a picture with somebody else that I like even more, in Wes Lee. He's interviewed backstage. He says Gallus are making threats across their entire brand. And he thinks that they mean it, but they're not going to make it past the North American Championship. He's been in triple threats, and he's left with his title. And Obafemi, someone who has been signed onto the company for not even a year, was in the breakout tournament. My memory serves me right. He won, and he's already a champion. He comes in to say that none of it matters and that the outcome's going to remain the same, that the title is going to stay with him. Wes Lee says that he's made a career out of proving people just like him, like Oba, that when it comes to people like Wesley who are seen as underdogs or people that don't respect the titles that they have, because that's what happened when he was tag champions with his former partner who is on TNA now, who we can't really say his name much due to the controversy that happened when he got released, that he can prove them wrong.
I don't know what you're talking about. I gotta look that up after. I did. Okay, Wesley. He was cutting the promo. He was the guy. Okay, I remember. Because I remember I said before that I didn't remember who Wesley was. No, he was pretty good. I thought he did good mic work. Only thing is, I've seen Obafemi live. I did go to NXT Stand and Deliver, in Philadelphia. That's a big dude.
Yes, he is.
And when he spoke, he was very. He reminds me of Francis Ngannou a little bit. And when he spoke, he was very intimidating and matter of fact. That guy's a star. I don't see.
Listen, if he's only been there not even a year, won the breakout tournament, and is already a champion, and he's in his mid-20s. He's 25, I believe.
Nice.
I saw a picture on I think it was Facebook or Instagram that said that Obafemi is what the Omos should have been.
Yeah,
that Omos is a tall guy. He's very strong. He looks like a formidable opponent. The problem is the guy has no personality and can't talk on the mic. That's why they give him MVP to be his manager and his mouthpiece.
He can't wrestle
to talk to. Yeah, no, he can't really wrestle that much either. Which I know people that know him might be a nice person outside of the ring, but in that ring, I'm not. I get bored. It's just super difficult.
At least Obafemi, he has the baked-in excuse of, well, this is a developmental show. I'm here developing, and he's very young, so fair enough. I think he has the pieces. I haven't seen much of Wesley, but I liked what I saw. He was talking well. He was very matter of fact, and he has a good look. We can't gas it too much because that's not how we do here. But.
Well, I mean, I gas up Wesley because I like how much he looks, and I love watching him in the ring. I've got to see him live wrestle, and I've seen his stuff before NXT switched to the colorful 2.0 brand that they have now. So I am familiar with his work back when it was the black and gold brand, and also when they would do the shows back at Full Sail University.
Oh, so he's been around a while. Why is he still in NXT?
Well, I mean, maybe he would have gotten called up, but some stuff happened, and he did get injured a while ago, and he came back from that as well.
That'll do.
And they were also trying to figure out what to do with him after they released his partner for the stuff that happened.
That, you know what, that makes sense. Yeah, that'll do it. When your partner gets released and they're like, yeah, sorry, you didn't do anything, but we just don't know what to do with you now. So
exactly. So after all this, we get to the main event. We got the personalities in Javon Evans and Trick Williams versus the guys with no personality in Gallus with Joe and Mark Coffey. It's essentially a battle of strength versus strength in Trick Williams and quick, agile, high-flying moves in Javon Evans.
And they have Sexyy Red with them.
Yes, and Sexyy Red did come out with them, like having a good time, like as anybody would if they were to do that. Like I've done that before, being a valet for somebody, although that wasn't how I was supposed to act. I was supposed to act like I didn't want to be there. So I essentially went into my heel of mine. No, they were a face team, but the characters that they were kind of like patients from a psych ward, and I had to act like their nurse that had to keep them in line. So I had to look like annoyed, like I had to I had to deal with these guys again. So I went into a heel mindset, like, oh, I don't want to be here. And it made me realize now I get why people like being heels when they're wrestling, because it's fun and you can say what you want. When you're fit,
you came out Carly Bright. You were so happy.
I was happy on the inside. I just had to fake it.
Fake till you make it.
Exactly. And hopefully I'll get to do that again with somebody else. So they go back and forth with Trick and Javon. They get the charges early. They work Mark over. They do their drop kicks. They go back and forth, and it was a hot match for a good minute. They went back and forth. Joe Coffey gets the NXT belt from his brother, but Sexyy Red takes it away from him, and Javon Evans dives, bouncing his own face off the table, and Trick lines Mark up, and they win via pinfall with the trick shot from Trick Willie on Mark Coffey. After the match is over, Sexyy Red gives Trick his title back, and she celebrates with them. Lash Legend comes out to the ring and asks trick to his face if he attacked Noam Dar and Oro Mensah. And before he could even say a word, the lights go off. It comes up, and my jaw fell to the floor. It cracked to the earth. It dug a hole to China because all ego Ethan Page, who I have had the pleasure of seeing at Dynamite, at the infamous show where Sammy Guevara called Dan Lambert a fat-faced dipshit, where he got challenged by Ethan Page for the TNT championship. And he takes credit for the attacks and lays Trick Williams out on the floor. So I was just like,
that was insane.
I'm so happy that Ethan Page is getting a chance to be on TV again, because he wasn't being utilized after Top Team basically disbanded. That was the best time. That was the best work on AEW, in my personal opinion. When they did the stuff with him and Matt Hardy, I felt like they were trying way too hard.
And then he was Top Team too.
And then he got put on Ring of Honor, where he was being used more. And then after his contract was over, either they let him go or he just said, "I'm done. I'm out of here." And now his merchandise is being sold like very well, and it's selling out like fast.
He has a big fan base. Yeah,
I became a big fan watching his YouTube channel, watching his vlogs.
Oh yeah.
Listen, I will say he's one of the ones that I love looking at. When he did the shirtless intro of his vlogs, I was just like, "Ooh, Lord Jesus, yes, thank you."
You and Shay.
And watching the toy vlogs, watching him act like a little kid at Hearts, showed me a different side of him, and I fell in love, just like I fell in love with Sammy Guevara in the ring and seeing his vlogs out of the ring.
You and Shay, Ethan Page, lovers. Listen,
yes,
I liked Top Team too, though I think there were a lot of fans who did not gel. I didn't understand that. I liked American Top Team, and I liked him and Scorpio Sky,
maybe they felt like there was too many. They kept bringing too many people to join in to Top Team to help beat the Inner Circle.
And there were
I
some
can understand that
just were not tops, and they just didn't need to be.
That too, and also the fact that they brought somebody, Paige Van Zant, who was utilized in MMA fighting but got pushed too soon, and it never worked out for her. And after that, she just was like MIA, being injured and such, and now has an OnlyFans page like Jericho said that she would.
You can put it on your OnlyFans. I remember that line in that promo. They killed him for that, by the way. But yeah, my thing, I'm happy to see Ethan Page. The guy is talented. I do know that he was in Ring of Honor after Top Team kind of dissolved, but that was something that he kind of asked for. He asked to go to Ring of Honor because I think he kind of wants, because the main roster is very crowded, or the AEW
it's
roster.
Very crowded. They got nothing for any of the other people to do, which a lot of them are going to be complaining backstage whether they put articles out about it or not, which they haven't recently. It's like Tony Khan brings in so many people, whether they're people that got let go of some companies or some that he finds out like in other companies, whether it's here in the U.S. or internationally, to bring them in so people can see what they can do. The problem is with that, when you got too many people, it's like a can of anchovies, like all of them all squished together, and they're all trying to escape. Only a few can slither out, and the ones that slither out are the ones that are actually relevant enough to be used on TV. So I feel that's why Ethan Page wanted to go on to Ring of Honor, because that way he'd get used. People could actually pay attention to him again, could see why he is talented. I've always said that when I became a fan, I always said Ethan Page has charisma. He's talented. He's got the look. He should have a belt. And I mentioned this when reviewing AEW before, when he went up against Hook, because I find Hook highly overrated.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do this.
Hook is overrated.
Absolutely not.
He's annoying as hell, and he has no personality in that ring whatsoever. And if Jericho was trying to get a personality out of that boy, it failed.
My Walmart Tom Holland does not deserve this. Listen, Hook is very talented. I think that Hook...
He can be talented in the ring. He's just boring as hell. He has no personality.
Listen...
This is me. I'm brutally honest about how I feel about people. If other people don't like it, then too bad.
Listen, I don't think Hook has no personality. I just think Hook is very green. And so when he's trying to express certain things, it just doesn't come off the same. I liken him to Jack Perry. it took Jack Perry a long time to get his stride on the mic, but it's not because Jack Perry was boring or he didn't have personality. He obviously did. It's just he didn't have the talent or the character work to really make it come through, which I think our scapegoat is on the run of his career right now. Give him the TNT title. Sorry to Adam Copeland, you broke your leg, and now you can pass the torch.
Well,
on
I mean,
to
with the match that he had on Sunday, it's not a surprise that the man broke his leg and needs surgery for it. I mean, like at this point, they might as well just give him the belt to Malachi Black.
No, I say don't give it to Malachi Black because, to be honest with you,
well, I mean, I was thinking that after I saw the injury story, but then I was like, oh wait, that rest of House of Black turned his back on him. Now he needs to figure out what he's going to do, so he doesn't need the title. So they're probably going to do something like during the Owen Hart Foundation tournament or something like that. Maybe do like an eliminator type match for that, like they did last night or on Sunday.
And I'm so sorry to the. I know that this is an NXT review show.
No, it's fine. We bring up AEW and NWA and TNA and all that fun stuff from time to time on here, so it's fine.
And I like the fact that they did because Ethan Page, it's like, okay, AEW guy. I like the fact that they didn't kind of shy away from that. They're like, oh yeah, last time we saw him, it was like AEW. It's like, yeah, that's true. I kind of expected this. I kind of expected that he would be leaving the company. I didn't know his contract was ending. I didn't know he was going to show up today. It seemed like a surprise. I don't think anybody expected that.
Nobody expected it. Are you kidding? I said, my jaw went through the ground and dug a hole to China. Of course, I didn't expect it. I was so happy to see him on my TV again.
My problem, though, is the entire story they've been telling the whole night is who's been attacking the Mercury? The
Metaphor. And he took credit for the attacks. He said he did it.
My thing is, this is a white guy. How did you think it was Trick?
Because here's the thing with the Metaphor.
Do you get what I'm trying to ask? Like, you didn't see who
Yes, I get what you're trying to ask. Here's the thing of why that this works. The Metaphor and Trick Williams have had a storyline for a while. So a while ago, Noam Dar challenged Trick, tried to go after Trick to get a title shot from him. Trick had said, oh, if you want one, just ask for it. Noam Dar was like, no, I don't ask for a title shot. I just get one. And he knocked him out. They had their match. Trick Williams retained the belt, even though it looked like he didn't pin him properly because they got pictures, which Lash Legend had in an envelope to make it seem like she had some big secret in there, which was funny because in the crowd, somebody was chanting, Trick Williams is the father, the baby daddy. But they pulled the pictures, they show all that out. And then as the weeks went by, Noam Dar got attacked backstage. And the rest of the Metaphor, well, Jakara and Oro thought it was Trick. Lash didn't because a while ago there was a little thing between the two of them and they shared a kiss out in the ring. So she's kind of all like in love with him because I believe they're dating in real life. If my
I think so
research
too.
is correct.
I remember something about that, yeah.
But that's part of it. So Oro gets attacked next. And so Lash just says, I'm going to ask him to his face if he's the one that did it. And Jakara is probably thinking to herself, all right, I fought this girl too many times saying that, oh, Trick Williams is the one that did it. He can't win fairly, blah, blah, blah. I'll just let her figure it out for herself. Let her see that he's not a good guy. And then her heart will get broken and I will fix the pieces and we will attack them together. So that's why it makes sense in that. But sometimes the company has a tendency to bring in other people for these things. For a while, they did this with the women in NXT as a cover-up story because they would get injured doing training in the Performance Center.
Oh yeah.
They would say like the girls would get beaten up by Anonymous, and Anonymous turned out to be somebody that wasn't fully signed to the company in this side of the world because she was signed onto that UK brand in Blair Davenport.
But they were
who was on AEW as B Davenport or something like that. And wasn't utilized very well over there.
Kind of like rest in peace to Brody Lee. Like before he ever came into AEW, they were setting up his storyline, like to reveal him. So it's kind of like that. They knew they were coming in, so they were setting up the storyline. Okay, that makes sense. I think Ethan Page is going to do really well. I hope. I wonder where because if he's attacking the NXT champion, is he hot-shotted into the storyline with the champ? Like, does he go for the title? I don't know.
That's what we'll probably find out most likely next week because the show ended with that.
It did.
With yes, David, we got 2-1 surprises tonight with Jordan Grace and Ethan Page. Our minds were blown when Ethan Page came out because nobody was expecting that.
Yeah, that was for all of the days for me to watch NXT. They're like, oh yeah, the AEW fan, let's throw you a bone. Let's
throw some bones for the people that watch TNA, ones that watch AEW and Ring of Honor.
This was a show for the and those who like Sexyy Red music. There we go. Let's throw everybody a bone. Hi there, guys. How was your Memorial Day yesterday? It was fire.
It was fine. It was fun. I had a good day, and I reviewed the AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view, which, like I said there, reminds me why I stopped watching their pay-per-views because they take too damn long. The last time I watched the pay-per-view
are very long. I gotta tell you, Double or Nothing was a great show.
They separated it into 2 nights because they had like 10 matches in one night, and 2 of them were put out on YouTube for free, and then the rest you got to find on some other way.
Are you talking about 0 Hour?
You go pay to go to Dave & Buster's to go watch it over there. Yeah. Be distracted by the craziness happening over there.
I typically sometimes I'll just skip 0 Hour because it's like the show is already so long. It depends what matches are on 0 Hour. I'm like, I can skip this. But yeah, Double or Nothing was a good show. This, I mean, because I kind of want to give this show a grade. I want to say a B-.
That's a fair grade. I would definitely give it that as well if I were to do that. I mean, we normally don't do that here, at least when I'm hosting, but I too will give it a B- as far as how the show went for the night. But it was a good show with surprises all around, which some of us definitely were not expecting. But this is the NXT review show here on Unpopular Review. And we have other shows for everybody to see. I mean, I have the old version of it, but I'm just going to say it. On Monday nights, we got Mike Knox at 6 o'clock. Then after that, we do get watch-alongs for Raw and the review shows. We get the NXT show on Tuesdays. We get Dynamite on Wednesdays with the Dynamite crew. You got your SmackDown reviews on Saturdays, since we can't do it on Fridays because everybody's got a life and sometimes they out and about, so nobody's going to be watching. And we did a Collision, not no more. Again, I got the old one, so that's why I have this up here. But we also do top 5s and specials on Thursdays. And be on the lookout, not just for us, which you can click the subscribe button, click the notification bell so you're notified whenever we put out a video. You can follow us on all these lovely forms of social media: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, because I will never call it X, Twitch, and Patreon. And don't forget, we have the entertainment side. Tonight, they just reviewed Scary Movie 2, I believe, or a different movie. I can't remember right now. But be on the lookout for them, as well as our lovely ladies over there reviewing Bridgerton of Season 3. So be on the lookout for that. And tell the people, Sheriff, where they can find you on social media if you have anywhere to find you.
Truthfully, you can probably just find me on UPR or TikTok, All Elite Memes. And you can join the Facebook group, Solid Monster Sounds Off. You can find me there as well.
And you can find me, besides being here on Unpopular Review, on YouTube as the unofficial camera woman, where I go throughout Central Florida and occasionally South Florida to record wrestling matches at independent companies and put them out on YouTube for the world to see. And so that way people's talents can get shown and followed everywhere, because sometimes some of these companies take months to put it out or don't put out the footage at all, which is a shame because these people are hardworking, very talented. Some of them are lucky enough to get featured on shows like WWE, TNA, AEW, NWA, maybe New Japan. Give everybody
some love.
Give us some love. Give some views. Tell your friends that like wrestling or people that may be interested in starting to watch wrestling. Give them this show as something so that they can get perspective from the fan, or like Mike Knox, to get more the intellect side into it, the intelligent wrestling fans. Any final words before we say adios for the night?
Get it sexy. Sorry.
No, it is okay.
I had to do it.
You know what? That's fine. And for the sake of the people who do love her, good night, everybody.
Oh gosh.